advanced living. You talk to when it talk to the team, whether that's
Your boy, Prince Junkie, appreciate the All-Star Lonzo Hall. I return to what in your head with an H12. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that like, comment, notification bell, where every time we release new. Share, share. Last tribute to channel or to schedule an appointment with a financial professional. Links are in this video. So this separates between a financial and a fake ass trying to get you to think. See this training. You're focused on business, small business, self-employed, and business owners. So we can see you there. So I'm gonna do a little training.
I use some years, right? Like it's great to do the farms, but another another age is you're your own down at the like who's within their business. You run into business owner all the time. You have to be confident and one executive doing that.
Hit that like
Again, the business owner. So here is here's your business owner. Talk to them about this, and also you asking you and centers around employees didn't show up. And the first question, have your employee that's those they've been that person. What happens if if they didn't work that day, thing happened, there would be a problem. Done that, then if they've identified the key and it's reasons why me look toward some bonus program. And with executive bonus, we're talking the simple, easiest way to talk to that business about the importance of the employee, and two, either recruit, retain, or that, right? Whatever it may be. That's what you're to do. And if one thing that there's things, but one you should take away, that's what this executive ultimately recruiting, retain, or reward a key. What you see in is something, and all just for you to sort of clear in your mind, if you want to talk to your executive bonus, that's what the executive reward is. This piece is approved down the front. Does is it tools through what it is, does, and the benefits that can from. So let's just walk the diagram. You have a business, right? So I'm going to use your because I hate I like I for about so you're an employee. I know what you so do about it, right? All right. So with the bonus, okay, Charles, one heck of a
Wanda. I'm training right now.
Wish you something, I want a bonus, right? I got some ways I can. But I really do. But I really, say at times, at growth, while you have those dollars
basically an executive plan for owners. So how to set up business plans, basically to help retain qualities. Got LLC all over the place. I figured I'd tell the reality being a business and the difference between corps and etc.
Sounds good. Good. So,
yeah,
I want to do, and this okay, me to pay premium, insurance at Charles on it is going to be able to beneficiary whatever you want. Oftentimes, it's able to name the beneficiary wherever. Right now, Charles is owner of. So he gets the and it is his and trade-off for is presumed now Charles was a great
and that's
so
his
and I giving Charles this bonus, which I could I could check. I value him, not only him, but his family future, which is just not cutting. People that offers fantastic for the growth, so he doesn't have to pay income tax while it's growing after the premium's been paid, and I'm going to give him the opportunity to have to have tax-free supplemental cash. That sounds like a good deal, right? Here's the here's the trade-off. Now I being the owner, because I pay premium, those premiums are going to be considered income to Charles. It's as if I wrote Charles a bonus check, but instead I pay the premium. Regardless, the Charles would have to pay income tax on on those premium dollars. The business owner, the benefit that I get would be that I would get to deduct those quote unquote premium payments. Well, they're really bonus payments, is why I get to deduct them. That's all I had.
You literally answered my question as I was going to ask if those premium payments were deductible to you as the business owner as you're giving the employee the bonus benefit. So if I can frame it, for example, if you are the business owner and I'm the employee, and you're paying $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month in premium, that $12,000 is a write-off to the business.
That is correct. Now let's be clear, Lonzo, and be clear for everyone else. The life insurance or premium payments by a business for life insurance is generally not deductible. And I know you're going to go, but hold on, Troy, you just said it's deductible. The Internal Revenue Code, Section 264, you can go look it up. If you don't believe me, trust me on it though. Generally, life insurance, payments for life insurance is not deductible. However, did we pay premiums or did we bonus him money? Right. So we bonus Charles. Dollars. Right. And that bonus came in the form of us paying for the life insurance. So if we want to get technical, what this is called is 162 executive bonus. And 162 is a reference to the Internal Revenue Code section that says as long as the pay is reasonable wages and income is deductible by the business. So we're bonusing dollars to Charles. We are taking those bonus dollars and paying them and paying them to the life insurance company. But it's because it's a bonus that we get to deduct it, not because it was life. Because if it was specifically for life insurance and that was the way it was framed, it would not be deducted. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because that's one of the things that always comes up with 162 executive bonus.
Question on that. When you say reasonable, is there like a barometer? For example, in my example of the $1,000 a month, that's basically $12,000 a year. Is it depend on maybe the field of the employment, or?
Yeah, it's reasonable as far as tests go, reasonable in terms of what's reasonable to pay an employee. There's a pretty wide berth. Like there's a lot of latitude in determining what's reasonable pay. And so that typically is not a problem in determining what's reasonable pay in relation to an executive bonus. So I typically, if they're paying themselves and they have an accountant already, or they're paying the employee, the business owner is not going to. Typically, they're not going to go off the deep end in terms of what the bonus is going to be. In other words, there's usually something tied to it. Hey, I'm going to pay you I'm going to pay you a 10% bonus a year, or even 20%. Like that's not unreasonable, right? So that's something that usually is a really low hurdle to jump over when we're talking about executive bonus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just want to let you know that this is out here, right? This is the simple executive award. This is the sort of 101 version of I need to explain what executive bonus is. Know that the simple executive award is out there on Producer Workbench. Bring it up, and it's a one pager, like you can see here. It's basically front and back, big diagrams, kind of cartoons. Keep it light. Just want to be able to introduce and explain the concepts. Now, what else is out there? You'll see that this is a little more formal, right? So, and again, the focus when it comes to executive bonus is you want to reward your best employees, and this is what you're trying to do. And this piece is, again, executive bonus takes you through it. This white space right here. This piece, I don't have it this way because it looks. You'll see in the next example that I show you, it doesn't look real good. So, but this piece is customizable. In other words, you could come out and you could put your name, your contact information can all go in this white space, and make it customizable. But again, this is a one-page client approved. And here is how it works, and more of a formal what you would expect from a life insurance piece diagram of what executive bonus is. The employer pays the employer pays premium payments. The employee pays the IRS. That's the income tax, right? Mm-hmm. The premium payments go to the insurance company, and the employee gets at some point to use that cash value for a supplemental income, and the employee's beneficiary. If something happens to the employee's beneficiaries, those beneficiaries receive that death benefit income tax free. Okay, it's really, really simple, and I think Charles can attest when you start getting into and talk to a business owner. It's like, do you have and it's literally it's that question. Hey, do you like what would you do if you're sitting down talking to them and you've noticed an employee or someone that you think is integral, like what would you do if Bill didn't show up tomorrow? And business owners are used to go, ooh, don't want to think about that. That would be a bad deal for me and my business. Well, you've identified it. How are you going to recruit, retain, and reward? How are you going to let them know? How are you going to let them know that they are valued and I don't want you to go anywhere, right? And not even listen to. Turn a deaf ear to the company or competitor or whoever it may be that comes along and says, hey, listen, I can give you more money, right? Or I can give you something else that maybe you aren't, that maybe you can avoid by them not listening, by them thinking, nah, I'm exactly where I need to be. That's the sort of calculus that the business owner is balancing.
Make sure y'all hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure to share.
And like we thought the numbers were going to go up, and they're double, and sometimes maybe.
My guest speaker today is Troy Brantz. He's a
that may be linked to
CFP,
inflation,
CLU,
but the simple
CFA.
fact is
He's
being
also an
employed
attorney.
has
He
never
works
been
with
as
my
easy as
company, and he
has
was
been,
a guest speaker
right?
at the last conference of African American financial professionals.
Especially with the economic pressures that we're facing. The highest or the lowest unemployment rate that we've seen in a long, long time. So, doing these things and thinking about these things are imperative for the business owner to be ahead of the curve when it comes to retaining my key people. You're just helping them have that conversation. And executive bonus is the simplest, easiest solution for a lot of business owners. And then, of course, we here at Advanced Solutions can help move you along the spectrum of if we need to get more complicated or more involved or have some other ideas in case the business owner says, hey, I'd like a little more control. We can help you there too. Okay?
Is there limitation to the size of it? Like, does it have to be a group of 5 or 50 individuals or?
No, so Alonzo hits on a very good point. With executive owners in particular, what we're talking about today, but then some of the other things that you would have at your disposal through Advanced Solutions, whether that be traditional non-qualified deferred compensation, whether it be something that we call our complete solutions, the dual executive reward and the supplemental platinum recovery tactic. Those are a little more complicated, but all of those fit into what we call non-qualified benefits. And the reason why we say non-qualified benefits is because you're allowed to permissibly discriminate against who gets it and who doesn't. See, with a qualified plan, 401k, 403b, pension plan, you've all run into qualified plans. There isn't, you're not allowed to discriminate. In other words, if I bring a qualified plan to a business owner, everyone has to be afforded the opportunity to participate. But the non-qualified, with non-qualified benefits, I can say you get it, you don't. You're going to get one a little different than the one over here, and I'm allowed to do that. So to answer your question, Alonzo, size 50 people, nope. 5 people, doesn't matter. Like if I want to do an executive bonus plan and I want to include some and not include others, the business owner has that right.
Thank you.
And Troy, and the one that I set up, the business owner was like the only employee.
Yeah.
He was the sole person, and then so he did the policy for himself.
Right. So yours, Charles, while it's and we didn't have the S corp we didn't have the S corp security strategy, but we had the same idea. Now your business was an LLC, but we'll talk about how yours was a little different, and how we can expand on what you did and what that business owner was thinking. Okay.
Okay.
So the final example that I want to show you is, again, this is that white space that I talked about. This is another one, and this is that white space allows you to customize. And then if you wanted to see what would go there, first and last name, any designations, address, phone numbers, email, website. If you had a logo, you can put all that in the customized versions of any of these, with the exception of fundamental solutions, with the exception of the first one. If it's customizable, you can put that information in there to give you a different look. But this is, again, hey, maybe you're talking to a business owner, and let's just and this one allows you to do it via a sort of a story, right? So it sets up the scenario of the company, and of course, it's still about recruit, retain, or reward. And then it gives you a more detailed, it gives you a discussion of what the strategy is, how it works, how it benefits the business, and then you get a moral of the story, right? So, however your business owner chooses to learn, however you choose to teach, you have that ability. Whether it be from a story problem, you can customize it. whether it be from a more formalized diagram that you can also customize, or whether it be from a sort of a lighter swipe at the idea of explaining what what a bonus reward is, and how we can and how we can make it work for the business owner. Okay.
And Troy, what was the tax code again? You said it was a 162 executive bonus plan. Is that also the tax code? Is IRC 162?
Yep, yep. And all that and all that tax code is, Alonzo, is the tax code is reference to compensation. What's the idea behind reasonable compensation. But that's why it's referenced 162, because it's considered compensation and not a payment of life insurance.
Okay.
If you go to 264, it specifically excludes life insurance as being deductible to the business.
Oh, okay.
Right? Trust me. You got to trust me on it, right?
I do. Don't worry.
So I just don't want you to go out and say, "Hey, life insurance is deductible," and generally that's just not the case. So that's why I kind of go through that. That's why I kind of go through 264 and 162, because I'll almost invariably someone will go, "Hey, life insurance is deductible." No, it's not. But no, it's not. Right? So yeah. So that's the executive bonus, right? It's a great way to get into a conversation with business owners about, because the larger conversation is about, do you have an employee that you're looking to recruit, retain, or reward? Okay, that's the conversation that you're trying to get to. That's where you're trying to get that business owner's mind. Do you have an employee that you want to recruit, retain, or reward? Well, I saw someone sent something on chat and I missed it. My head was down. Hold on a second. Sorry.
Don't worry, I was just greeting everybody. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a question. So do I have an employee that I want to recruit, retain, or reward? Okay. All right. So now,
guys, if you have questions, make sure you put it in the chat so I can ask.
Key-man insurance.
Mhm.
Executive reward. Is it the same thing or is it different?
Did you say dual executive reward?
No.
Okay.
Insurance.
Uh-huh.
Back in the days, you have someone that
Shango, what's going on, bro?
keep them, because without them, your business doesn't is not as rewarding.
I got an insurance attorney on the line, so I suggest y'all ask me questions to ask him, because I ain't gonna have them for long.
Okay, well, we're going further up the food chain now. We're still coming further into their stuff, right? So we're going further up the food chain.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk Key-Man, and you're probably going to, because I don't know how long you've been in the business, but I was saying, like, I've been in the business now 26 years, right? And so when I first came into business, it's Key-Man insurance, right? Like, hey, you're the business owner and you have an employee that's valuable. Let's get a bunch of insurance on them in case something happens, so your business isn't hurt, right? I gotta tell you, Key-Man insurance, and this is not what you generally hear from an advanced solutions guy. Key-Man insurance makes 0 sense to me. 0 cents. Here's why it makes 0 sense to me. Key-Man insurance alone makes 0 sense to me. Because think about what I just said. Let's go back into our example with Charles and me. Hey, Charles, man, listen, you do such a great job. You are awesome, right? And like you are absolutely awesome. But if something happens to you, man, I'm gonna be hurt. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a life insurance policy on you. You're going to agree to it. I'm going to get a life insurance policy on you, and I'm going to figure out, your value to the business if you're not gone, right? And that's going to be a death benefit. So if something happens to you, right, I'm going to own the policy. I'm going to be the beneficiary, or my business is going to be the beneficiary, and you're going to be the insurer. So if something happens to you, my business will be taken care of. Like, that makes no sense. Like, who would sign up for that? Like who would sign up for that willingly? but it happened all
That's what all people do in big businesses. When you go and you start working for a company, the big business takes the insurance out on you.
So basically, they're doing Coley on us.
No, yes and no. So just remember what I said. Like usually I parse my words, right? And I throw stuff in there, like, because I'm specific going, I'll come back to key person insurance alone makes no sense.
One, an insurance attorney is basically one who's going to be litigating a lot of
and so
different situations. If you actually look up, I think it's Bernard, Brody and Branch LLP. She represents like large insurance companies. And the reason he said chemo and insurance makes no sense is from the insured's perspective, right? Ryle, if you and I start a business and then you say, hey, Lonzo, you're so valuable to the business, but if you die, my business is messed up. So sign here. You don't get nothing for it, but if you die, hey, the business will get $1 million, but I only work for the business. I don't have ownership in the business. So it doesn't make sense to the key man versus what we were talking about, which is the 162 executive bonus plan, where now if something happens to me, number one, it's a write-off for the business for paying the premiums. Number two, if something happens to me, I know you as the employee give a fuck about my family, not just about your bottom line.
That's where the world largely operates today, right? Where it's where there's the employees getting something, right? It's just not the employer by themselves.
And now he's answering that question, Ron.
On a key employee by themselves. Like you hardly, I don't see it, and I certainly don't propose it, especially talking the way I talk, right? I certainly don't propose that. So the difference is with key person insurance, to answer your question, who's the owner? Typically with key person insurance, the employer is the owner, right? With executive bonus, the employee is the owner.
Boom.
Right. So in my executive bonus example, like Charles owned the policy. Charles named his beneficiaries. Charles was the insured. When we talk key person, typically it's I would own the policy. Charles still is the insured. I would name the beneficiaries. And even if we take that extra step and we combine it with something else, I'm going to name the beneficiaries, and I typically am going to name the beneficiary for some beneficiary on Charles's behalf. Now, again, for our next lesson, we got to have another lesson now. Charles, like, you're going to bring me back in like a month or a couple of weeks or whatever, because the next step is one of our complete solutions, something we call dual executive reward, which takes the next step beyond
dual executive reward.
And that's where we can combine, key person and some other things. Okay? Did I answer your question, Derek?
Yes, sir. Right? Obviously, then the tax consequences on the death benefit would be different if the owner was the beneficiary, as against if the employee was the beneficiary. Would that be correct, Troy?
That is correct. There is a tax consequence on the death benefit, because here's what ends up happening. Just long story short, instead of that, like if the owner is the benefit, like if I'm the owner and I'm the beneficiary and I'm the business, like if something happens to Charles in that key person example, I get the money income tax free. If I split that death benefit, I name Charles's wife or whoever it is beneficiary. I name them part beneficiary to some of it. Now that payment from the death benefit is considered income that I paid. That I paid Charles's family, and we like to try to avoid that. And we can do things to avoid that. That's what the dual executive reward does. Helps us avoid
income to the beneficiary, or income to the owner, like
income to the beneficiary.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and that's something that we're trying to avoid, right? So there's ways to do that. That's that next step where now I'm just I'm just building into, training time now, Charles. So you got to bring me back.
Yeah, definitely, Troy. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share, share, share.
The numbers we used earlier, when we were talking about, let's say you're paying $1,000 a month for this insurance plan on this business executive or your key guy, whatever you want to call it. And you are getting that tax, you're able to write that off up front. Now, and you can't get 2 write-off. So if you write it off up front, then if you were the beneficiary as the owner, then you have a non-tax situation there. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Yep. Okay.
Got it.
All right. So that's executive bonus. We got a little deeper there than I anticipated, but I'm all for it, right? Because this is one of, again, if you're willing to get into those conversations, executive bonus can help solve a lot of business owner problems. So I'm going to dive into the S Corp. First of all, how much time do I have?
12:15.
12:15. Okay. So let's talk about the S Corp security strategy. All right. Let's do it this way. I want to start, and hopefully it does what it did before. Okay. So the S Corp security strategy is one.
So again, this is using an S Corp, which is way better than using an LLC.
To some of our other complete solutions, something we call the dual executive reward, or the DER, is a complete solution. Something we call supplemental platinum recovery tactic, SPORT is what we call it, is a complete solution. And if I haven't described it in the past, a complete solution is a self-contained concept and idea that we market, that we put marketing material around it, but we also put process, and we put, if there's any sort of administrative needs, we put that around it as well. So the S Corp security strategy is something that we released at the end of last year, that I want to talk to you about, because these are disclosures. And so let's just talk about, what we're going to do here in the next, 15 minutes or so. So the S Corp security strategy is a specific focus on the S corporation, right? And specifically S corporation owners. Why should we focus on them? And I would dare to say that you could expand this out to some of this, you could expand out to business owners, regardless of how they're classified. But this is specifically focused on S corporation owners, because they have a unique problem, but they also have something that's a unique responsibility, or a unique opportunity, I should say. So the overview of the S corporation security strategy: what is it? How does it work? You're going to see that I think it's really simple, and then some ways to think about using the strategy beyond learning it. So let's just go ahead and dive in. First of all, why did we specifically focus on S corporation, right? First of all, the U.S. has about 32.5 million small businesses, right? And S corporations make up about 4.5 to 5 million of those small businesses. And this is important. You won't understand it, and so now, Charles, this is one of the things that we when we talk to you, when we talk about your situation, 66% of all S corporations have one owner. We're going to see why that's important. And I'm a story guy, right? So I'll tell you a story of why a lot of folks end up being single member S corp or single shareholder S corporation owners. Okay. All right. So that's it. So that's why S corps, because there's a lot of them, right? And there's a lot of them that are structured in the way that we can help them take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So We view this as a tale of two dilemmas, right? And the dilemmas are, right, the S corporation owner has a dilemma. What should they do? What should they be thinking about? And then Emeritus, because of the way that we brought along our complete solutions, we also have a dilemma. What can we do to plug up this hole that we've created with some of our other complete solutions? And what do I mean? Okay, so if you look at this, Emeritus is complete solutions. Like we have something, like we have a complete solution that covers a bunch of different subjects. So when you talk about executive compensation, right? Like how do I show a business how to recruit, retain, or reward that key employee? Executive compensation. That's DER. That's our key person question. That's our there's a bunch of different questions that executive compensation fills, and we have a couple of ideas, specifically dual executive reward and sport, and that's typically for that's typically for that key employee or employees. We have something, if you're thinking about retirement plan, right? We have something called Prosperity Plus. If you have a successful business, that's a small successful business, and the business owner would like large tax deductions for their retirement plan, but have most of the contribution be for their benefit. That's Prosperity Plus, especially since it uses primarily life insurance products, right? It's required to use annuities and or whole life insurance. So we have something for retirement plan. We have something for a business continuation. What are you going to do? What are your plans for the business when you're no longer a part of it? That's the question that you ask the business owner. And depending on that business owner's answer, that's the business continuation. How is your business going to continue? Do you plan on selling it? Do you have a key employee that you want to sell to? These are all questions that come as a result, but we have a business continuation solution called the Buy Sell LLC. Now, so that sounds pretty cool, right? I mean, we cover all these things and we got these nice slick packages to be able to do it.
Does the Buy Sell LLC apply to an S Corp, or does it have to be structured as an LLC for the Buy Sell agreement?
Has to be structured as an LLC. Okay. You can be, yeah. So it has to be structured as an LLC.
Okay.
Right, for the Buy Sell LLC. So, the problem that we created is for the S corporation owner, because there's a unique set of circumstances for the S corporation owner, which has pass-through taxation like an LLC, but it's a little bit different when it comes to payroll taxes. That S corporation owner was asking a specific question or asked themselves a specific question. What if I wanted to do this executive comp stuff on myself, right? What if I wanted to do the DER or the sport on myself? Mm-hmm. Well, doesn't really work because it's pass-through taxation, and I'll show you what it's mean. Show you what I mean. We needed to frankly solve that question, right? Or sort of answer that question as it related specifically to the S corporation owner. Too many of them running around to not have an answer. That's what the S corp security strategy is born out of. So here's the problem. Here's the business owner dilemma. Mm-hmm. How many of you, and for those of you who know business owners, or even think about yourself, right? This is what you do. If you're the business owner and you have your business, what do? You work your business, right? You grow your business.
You invest in your
and then you invest back in your business.
Yeah.
You work, grow, invest. You work, grow, invest. You work, grow, invest. And at some point you're going to look up, and business owners look up, and they haven't, while their business is successful, their business oftentimes becomes the only thing. That's not good problem to have, right? I got a successful business and it's the only thing I got. Right? I know it's a good problem to have, but it's part of our job to help educate them and help mitigate risk along the way. And one of the ways that we can help mitigate that business owner's risk is to help them. You're not going to ever get them out of this cycle, a good business owner, but you can help them mitigate the risk of what happens if, say, I don't know, something comes along that shuts down the world and shuts down or limits my ability for my business to grow and flourish. Say a worldwide pandemic that we're still feeling the effects of to this very day, right? Like I wouldn't have that wouldn't
I
have
think
been
we was having this conversation recently, man.
But it's a good one now, right? So so we want to like that's the business owner's dilemma is to help them create to mitigate risk outside of this work, grow, invest cycle, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So why S corp? So and
Cost of a C
understand
corp.
the S corp, we need to understand
Double taxation.
like what was the world primarily, right? And this is probably a little bit of a history lesson, but
So all those
primarily what
LLCs.
people would compare the S corp to is the C corp. And for let's go back and remember the reason why people, for until like 1958, the either the C corp or just
incorporation
or just a sole practitioner owning just sort of owning a company and owning all the liabilities.
Salute mulatto.
Was the way to go. And if you remember, the way that the C corporation is taxed is the C corporation is taxed at the corporate level, but then it's also taxed at the shareholder level. So if you were the shareholder owner of the C corp, your corporation got tax money, and then as income was paid to you, whether it be income or dividends, you paid tax there as well, right? And so people said, man, this C corp thing, while it's okay, I like the liability protection, but I get taxed, I get taxed quite a bit. Enter the S corp, and the S corp introduced what we call pass-through taxation. And pass-through taxation says,
pass-through taxation.
Business takes in dollars, those dollars flow through to the owner, and then the owner and the business.
So that's why
one and the same.
LLC Twitter is kind of
level. So
damaging to people because you're getting double taxed.
They'll get a K1
on those investments that they tell you.
Says how much income, how much income was derived from the business, and then the business owner pays tax at their individual rate. The business doesn't pay a separate tax, and then the owner pays a separate tax. Their tax is one and the same. They're on the same level, right? That's the benefit of pass-through taxation.
Question, Troy, in terms of, because I heard you mention a K1 or 1120, when we're talking with the business owner, are we attempting to collect any of these documents to bring back to kind of brainstorm with? Because I have a client right now who I was thinking of doing the 162 bonus, but he is an S corp, so I'm probably gonna have to call you today and work on this strategy.
Right. So to answer your question, yes. We need to be, and I know you do, Alonzo, because I know we've worked with sensitive stuff in the past, but we need to be very sensitive with tax returns, and even if it's something that we just get together and you share on the screen and you don't necessarily need to email me. We can certainly talk about what the 1120 reveals. Because at the end of the day, it's what we're talking about is how we can help them save a little bit in tax and leverage that tax savings into the benefits, in our mind, of cash value life insurance. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's make sure we get to it. So the reason why this whole thing about C corps and pass-through taxation is important is because S corporations and LLCs taxed as an S corp, which we see a lot of nowadays. But S corporations specifically, they have a significant advantage, right? When it comes to how they get income. So just so everyone understands, this is the way the way it typically works, and I'll explain this diagram is that with with most folks, like for instance, I work for Emeritus, right? And I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And then in fact, I just got it this past, I get a W-2 in the mail. And my W-2, is an accounting of, what I get, what I got paid, what my payroll taxes are. That's FICA, that's the Medicare and those Social Security amounts, which amounts to about 7.65%, amounts to 7.65% out of my check, right? That's what Emeritus takes out for payroll taxes. Now, Emeritus pays the other half of my payroll tax, which is 7.65%. So total payroll tax is 15.3% that is taken out of my check. Emeritus pays the other half, right? That's what happens with W-2 salary. That's this top line up here. Now, with with pass through, specifically S corporations, they can pay income two different ways. The business can pay the owner W-2 set, like a W-2 salary, which would operate just like the red line up top, or they have the option of paying themselves something called K1 distributions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, K1 distributions through an S corp has the benefit of one really, really good thing. If you notice, what you don't see with K1 distribution is you don't see that line pointing to the IRS. Not yet, at least, right? You don't see that line pointing to the IRS because K1 distributions from an S corp does not pay payroll taxes up to us, up to ever, right? So K1 distributions do not have to pay payroll taxes. So that's a significant advantage, right? So what you will find is business owners, specifically S corps, specifically single member S corps. This is why the number at the very beginning of the presentation that said 66% are solo members or the only member of the S corp. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Is because the S corp owner oftentimes will pay themselves a W-2 salary that needs to be reasonable, but then that same S corp owner will pay themselves with K1 distributions and save themselves the payroll taxes. So if you find yourself, Alonzo, looking at 1120 and looking at the K1 distribution sheet, and you see that they're not taking K1 distribution, they're paying themselves all W-2, which in this day and age, I would think would not be the case, but it is in a lot of cases. Like they are missing the boat on saving themselves, payroll taxes on those K1 distributions, right? And our suggestion is you take the K1 distributions at a minimum, the savings on the K1 distributions, and you move it into life insurance with the hopes that you're going to help mitigate that work, grow, invest, circular sort of thing that the business owners get into time and time again, right? So that's the main, there's a lot of explanation there, but the bottom line is if you have a business owner, specifically an S corporation owner, looking to do something for themselves, using the K1 distributions to fund the cash value life insurance piece to help mitigate risk, provide supplemental income, all those things critically important.
Troy, would this kind of strategy be similar to with the K1 distribution and then the contribution into the cash value life insurance? Would that be kind of like a LERP?
You could look at it that way. Absolutely. I mean, we can put. You can put honestly things like LERP. When people would ask us, Alonzo, I mean, if we're all cards on the table, when people would ask us, hey man, what can the S corporation owner do? Our answer was, well, there isn't a whole lot because there really isn't. When you're a pass through, you're not really gaining. There isn't a significant amount of benefit. So you just use you just use after tax dollars that you paid yourself to purchase the life insurance policy because it helps mitigate the risk, regardless of what we call it. With the S corp security strategy, we just put some thought process behind, hey, here's a way to gain some tax benefit. But at the end of the day, you're still using after-tax dollars because you are an S corporation owner, and you don't. There isn't necessarily an other way to do it, kind of like we would do in some of our other cases when it's when it's an owner and an employee, right? So yeah, so you could call alert, but I mean, you don't necessarily need to add the complication of it, but you certainly could do it. Absolutely.
Troy,
Thank you.
From this conversation that the K1 distributions are already taxed. So if you put that in insurance or you put it into any other plan, when you take it out, you don't pay tax in it. Is that correct?
If you put it in like life insurance, obviously offers like, so you could take the K1 distributions and put it in a brokerage account. Well, yeah, I mean the growth in the brokerage account would also be taxed as capital gains, or depending on, so it's not just put it into anything. You're putting it into life insurance because you are putting it into something after tax that's going to allow it to grow tax deferred. And then if we're doing our jobs correctly, when they pull money out of the life insurance policy, specifically life insurance, then they can pull those dollars out without having to pay.
Eating the bejesus out of your brokerage account and fidelity.
Okay. All right. So
Okay,
let's just do.
Troy, a quick question.
Yes.
This is Gilda. So how would the IRS know how we're investing our money, our income from our business to K1 distribution? Do they get notification? Do we get any kind of, how you have a W-2 or you have your annual statements? Do we get anything like that? How do they know where
You have to
putting
report
our money?
that, Gilda.
How
Well,
we're investing our money?
They won't know where you're putting your money, no, but they will know how much you as the owner took in K1 distributions and how much you took as W-2 salary, because those things are filed every year, right? Just like you file a like the W-2 is the basis of filing for your taxes. You would still have the W-2 from your business, and then you also, like Alonzo mentioned, the 1120, you would have, the K1 is connected to that 1120. So you have to tell the IRS, I took this amount in W-2 salary and I took this amount in K1 distributions. So that's how they know how much tax to calculate on each one of those. But they don't know, how you spent the K1 distributions.
Is there any particular product that you think is better versus worse for K1 distribution? I know you have life insurance here, but is there anything like with set annuity or different types of investments? Which one do you think? Because I'm an S Corp owner and it's my first time, so I'm just getting started myself. So I'm trying to learn how to best invest
Life
the money that
insurance.
comes for the business. So what would you recommend? What would be your best recommendation for someone like me? Again, I'm a new business, so I'm just getting started.
Well, first of all, I have a question for you. And I'm sorry, we're coming up on time. I have a question for you. Has your accountant talked to you about K1 distributions versus W-2 salary?
No, I have not spoken to him.
I just want to say that out loud to the group, because the reason why you become an S Corp, and you're probably the only shareholder in your S Corp, right?
Yes.
So to me, the only reason that you would become an S Corp is because because the accountant recommended it to you, I'm assuming. And the accountant also should have said, and by the way, we're going to take a certain amount as W-2. We're going to take as much as we can K1 and for any distribution, so we can save on payroll taxes. Like that should have been.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last question he's answering.
I'm
So
doing it to illustrate that,
thank y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like, drop a comment,
conversation.
subscribe,
Right.
and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. Lastly, to contribute to channel growth or to schedule a one-on-one appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description of this video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Actually, he's going to wait a few more minutes.
You know, this is, you know,
So we'll hold the salute.
Is done as a supplement, right? One is not qualified, and it's done as a supplement because I'm trying to create different buckets of money. I have my, whether it's SEP, simple, some type of qualified plan, and then I have something non-qualified. Maybe it's a Roth IRA, and so I earn enough money that I can't do the Roth IRA. Well, we have a tool, i.e. cash value life insurance, that allows us to
cash value life insurance
to get some of those Roth
and all
IRA
these
effects.
financial gurus keep telling you, leave life insurance alone. Leave life insurance alone.
It's not, it's not.
Just get term insurance.
Do this, right? It's not a.
This is what the wealthy are doing with life insurance, cash value life insurance.
Here, because it does allow us to create supplemental, income.
And again, this guy's an attorney. He's not an insurance agent.
Allows us to pick up death benefit to protect the business owner's beneficiaries more so, and also to protect the business. So that's why we do life insurance. And just really quick, because I know we're coming up. Here's the ultimate example that we're trying to show. We're not saying that, we're just showing. Look, someone could say
$25,000 for life insurance premium. Leaves $160,000 to leave for.
So
live off of, and $48,000 for retirement. It takes $200,000 in W-2 income. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge.
Out of the life insurance. And here we use the growth index, IUL, right? Now,
hold on.
We just split it. If we say, and instead of taking W-2 income, $200,000.
See, he's talking about what I like, that growth IUL.
W-2, $100,000, as a distribution. Right?
$29,000 for premium. Still leaves you $160,000 to live off of, and $56K for life for retirement. It gives you $100K in W-2 income and $100K as a distribution.
$29,000. Well, what kind of big deal is that, Troy? Instead of $48,000, I get to pull out $56,000, and I had a larger death benefit along the way.
And he had a larger death benefit along the way.
For a way to help the business owner.
What's up, Kay?
Take advantage.
Yeah, we got to talk, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and get that license in Maryland, and I'm gonna come fund your business stuff
for the benefit of themselves and build a supplemental bucket of money for themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Troy, you gotta come back soon.
Yeah, that was my fault thinking we can get all of this in an hour. We didn't even talk about the IBC concept. Then you have the dual executive reward. I mean, the key takeaway here, Troy, I mean, that number that you showed me was astonishing. I think you said 32.5 million.
All right, folks, I'm gonna end it.
Yeah.
Why back?
That's 32.
I keep trying to end it and it keeps going.
Right? We just have to, even in the Bronx, just go Fordham Road and you'd be surprised the LLCs and S Corps. And they don't know about the K1 distribution.
I'm one of them.
That's stunning to me because I can tell you, like my accountant. Well, I have a partner that we share some property, and his accountant's like, yeah, his accountant's awesome. He's my accountant now too. But he's just like, yeah, the reason why we're going to make you an S corp is because he's a dentist and he barely listened. But what he did catch was, yeah, I can there's some tax savings if I take it as a distribution, and he'll figure it out every year and tell me how much I can take as a distribution every year, right? So it was quick and he did it in an accounting way, but this is the reason that you see so many, sole owner, S corps, is because they, like, I'm going to, like, the whole thing behind S corporation owners, especially with a sole member, I'm gonna take as little as possible from a W-2 standpoint, so that the IRS doesn't, doesn't come a knocking, and then I'm gonna take as much as I can K1, so I can, so I can save some dollars when it comes to payroll tax. That's that's the name of the game behind S corps when we talk about taxation and why someone's an S corp versus an LLC.
So when we come back, Troy,
Troy, when you come back the next time, could you talk a little bit about how you can put your where you can put your money for tax exempt income when you retire? I mean, is that your area also or no?
Tax exempt income whenever. You mean
when you retire, you don't happen to pay taxes on the income?
Derek, you're talking CRC stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I should say, I just did a presentation last week that I think would be awesome for this group in terms of different ways to think about life insurance when whether you're approaching someone in their in their 40s, whether you're approaching someone towards the end of retirement, who's moving into retirement, and what things that they should be thinking of, and why you want to add some cash value life insurance, because man, it's and I can't pull it up because but there's something called there's a piece that we have called the retirement savings triangle. Mm-hmm. It's a really simple piece, but it's where you talk taxable, tax deferred, and tax exempt. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, that tax exempt category is really, really small. It's muni bonds, it's Roth IRA, and it's cash value life insurance, and we don't talk about it enough.
But you can send that presentation to us. I appreciate it. I know Liz Riley was telling us about a business owner school.
Boom school
coming up. That really, if you want to really learn this market, that's something I would definitely recommend.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the show now. White Bass, work in progress, every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge. Accept the challenge.
Yeah, this is our growth index IUL. All right.